Today we are talking about the bad art you are avoiding to see. The art that you hate, the art that you haven't liked, the art that anyways cannot get out of your brain, and why this art has become so violent just to get your attention. Hi, welcome to my podcast, Eu Acho. My name is Aline, I'm a Brazilian actress, also a German teacher. Here we are having art chats, we talk about culture, I make reviews of movies, books, and I also talk about my personal reflections, my journals. You can read my texts, for example, this whole script of this one that I'm reading right now in my website. I'm leaving here the links below, you can check it out in my blog. And we like to have chats in many languages as well. So, eu falo português, sou uma brasileira. Alguns dos episódios serão em português e eu adoro ouvir as pessoas falando que o português é melódico e que é gostoso de ouvir, ou que as pessoas estão aprendendo português e por isso elas escutam os meus episódios. Et je apprends le français. Je ne sais pas beaucoup de choses, mais je apprends le français pour plaisir. So we also have some episodes of languages that I am also learning and trying to learn, for example French. Und ich spreche auch Deutsch. Ich bin auch eine Deutschlehrerin und ich unterrichte schon seit 3 Jahren. And don't get surprised. I am no genius, I am just someone that learned for so many years and I am just an immigrant. So if you like also multilingual conversations, I honestly don't know any other podcast that is also multilingual nowadays. If you know, let me know. If you like it and you want to stay for multilingual chats, welcome here. I recently saw movies like Joker 2 or Kind of Kindness, and I honestly liked them. And some people liked them as well, but some people hated, and the media told they flop totally. So I got inspired to make a whole conversation about the art we don't like this bad art, the art that is flopping around the world. And if you saw in my last video, or in my old artist diaries, I like to do visual reviews, and I like to do them for the movies or books that I truly love. Turns out that if I hated something, this also was in my brain. I had to make reviews for the stuff that I hated as well. Like, this is so bad, and I have to finish anyways, and now I have to make a review about it as well, to investigate why do I hate it so much. And regardless of my tastes, they stayed with me. They shocked me, they made me feel bad, or they touched me somehow. I think that there are parts that the good art cannot reach within myself, and only the bad art reach the spots, and I feel like I don't know how to deal with the spots. I haven't touched this before, and my consciousness don't know how to deal with it and ends up calling it like, I don't like it. I hate it. This was bad. So I ask myself why art nowadays has become so violent and weird and feels like every movie must be very mind-blowing or going to the cinema is a challenge. So I go home reflecting about everything after going to the cinema, like, is there something wrong with the word? What was going on in the brain of this director? Is that something wrong with me? I guess that's the point. To make we ask questions. And sadly, we do live in a very cruel and weird world. So again, art will mirror this reality of our time. And cinema is precisely the art form that goes global. We don't have so many other art forms that are so globally shared as a movie, for example, that goes in many nations, for many cultures, translated in many languages. Maybe there, in the cinema, with a movie, is where we can see the reflection of the world and this global culture. And we don't like this global culture. We don't like to see this bad word, and we call it bad art. Studying art in my school and then in university, and I felt like, what is there still to create? I mean, not so much. We had so many art movements, and for example, I hate Cubism. Oh my god, I find Cubism so ugly. Jesus, this is the worst art movement ever. Like, this is so ugly, and I have something inside me that hates Cubism so much that I feel like there is something in Cubism. There is something there. Also powerful and weird and bad, and it feels pissing me off why art has to be so mathematic and geometric. Like, it shows a lot about who I am in my relation with math and my relation with figures, and it just shows a lot and teaches me a lot, but I keep hating. I don't like cubism. But that's exactly what I mean with this episode and with this reflection that we are doing here today, which is like, why do I hate it so much? Why? I mean, just why? Why cubism did it? Like, it pissed me off. And then I'm like, what is there still to create? Is there coming a new art movement that I will also hate or that I will like? What this generation right now, like, what is the art movement going on? Is like post-contemporary? I don't know. And I don't know if we're gonna have a movement for sure, because until now we haven't had something that now we have, which is social media. But for social media, it feels like it is the opposite. It's very different, because the more, the better. They try to create something specific for you, specific for me, and I think creativity has limits. And it is not specific. And humans have limits, and we are not specific. Like, we want something, but we also don't want. And then what we want changes. And we love, for example, we love seeing this couple that hates each other in the beginning of the movie. They fight so much. This just makes the love more real. At the end, they're gonna be the couple and there will be a happy ending, blah, blah, blah. But we are there for the journey. We want to start with the hate. We can love and hate at the same time, and we can feel jealous and grateful at the same time. And I think we humans, we don't know what to do about it. We don't know what to do with this contradiction, with these feelings. And because our overall poor art education and poor emotional intelligence, maybe, we don't have the names, we don't have the ways to elaborate it better. So we spit it out like, I don't like it. I don't understand it. I hate it. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with not liking or hating or even not understanding what was going on in this movie? Or like, what's wrong with that? Who is teaching we to love everything? Like, we have to love everything or like everything. Who is teaching that we have to understand everything? Because we don't. Like, art is not entertainment. It can be, but that's why I think bad art will save us all, because you cannot get distracted with this bad art. Like, when something is just beautiful and awesome and you like it, maybe this will become just an entertainment and you will forget that you're actually supposed to have a more intense experience when you are getting in contact with art and not just social media or entertainment. And in my opinion, content, social media is making we hate art or making we misunderstand art for two reasons. Reason number one, in my personal opinion, is because we get less resistant for the stuff that we don't like, but they exist. We don't see the bad word that is out there. We don't see the uncomfortable stuff that exists. And now you are like totally blind for the reality itself. Two, because you're scrolling and jumping videos and podcasts, you don't really know what you want. And if you don't really know what you want, you don't have desire, you don't have imagination, you don't have the wish to just shape this reality, which is what artists do. Like, you need a reality and then you need the desire to make something with it. And social media is killing both of this. Every time I create comes a little voice telling what people want to see. Will they like it? For who you're making this? And those are not questions for artists. Artists shape their reality. They make it happen. They create their reality. They transform it. A great question would be, what is the reality I am in right now? Another great question would be, what is the reality I want to create? What is the world I want to imagine? And a daily exercise would be, am I giving a shit for what other people think? And I think a lot of great directors of very bad movies, they are doing this. When I see these directors, I see them telling me, I don't care what you think. This is my movie. This is how I see this reality. And that's it. All the artists I've learned in school, they did it. Frida Kahlo, Van Gogh, Da Vinci, they reached politics with their art. They reached feminism. They reached religion. And they reached so because they thought that art is powerful enough to do so. And it is. Art is not just entertainment. And here's the definition of art. Art is an expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form. such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. I was not so happy with this definition, so I had another one. A visual object or experience consciously created through an expression of skill or imagination. Okay, so art is like an expression made with this imagination and or some sort of skill, and they are not even made to be liked by the artist itself. And sometimes when I create something alone, I will also hate what I do. I will not like what I'm doing. Probably I won't show anyone, I will delete it, I will destroy it. When I'm creating with someone else, which is for example my music duo, we also have a new song coming this week. Like there was a vocal in the song that we are releasing right now in December, and I was like, I just hate it. And he was like, I like it. I find it great. And me, it's trash. We end up cutting this part of the song so you won't listen, but it was an experience to teach me as an artist and person that all is very personal, that I have my eyes and my ears, and people will have their eyes and their ears. It is an expression of this mind, feelings, conflicts that are going on in this artist or in this group of artists, or even so in this culture that is manifesting through this artist of this time and in this reality. It comes also with our own dark elements and shadows, and maybe not even the artist will like it, but it is powerful and it is human and makes we feel again integrated in our own culture, reality, and our own humanity. There is a performance by Marina Abramovic. If you don't know, it is amazing because she is like naked, brushing her hair, very strong, desperately repeating to herself, art must be beautiful, artists must be beautiful. And this is excellent because she shaped a lot of my perception towards art itself, and how it's so much less about what is going on, what is the product or the experience, and so much more what is the feeling, what is the state of mind, what is going on inside of the artist and of the public as well, who is watching, participating. And to quote the first definition, there was telling, it is producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty. I almost call it bullshit. I mean, works to be appreciated primarily because of their beauty or emotional power, whatever emotional power means. But appreciation is not liking. And a like is what we give so often in social media that we don't even remember what was the last post you liked. I mean, I don't remember. I don't care. So liking is not appreciating. And appreciating leads we to a path of love. There is a book that calls How to Be an Adult in Relationships. I have made a review already in this podcast. You can watch or listen. And there he gives us 5 A's for building adult relationships based in love. And to love, we need acceptance, we need appreciation, we need affection, we need attention. Appreciation is merely recognizing, respecting, accepting something how it is. It's like you watch it, you feel it, you interact with it, and you appreciate. And maybe you don't like, but you are there and you recognize that this is a work, that this was art, that this was an experience for itself. At a museum, in a theater play, or for example, in a movie theater, you are no one. I mean, if you don't get it, if you don't understand it, if you hate it, no one cares. Like, if you don't get it, you have to try by yourself to find meanings for it. If you're listening to music, the person who wrote this wrote in another time with another feeling and intention. How you are listening right now, you put your own meanings, your appreciation only you can give. We should all appreciate each other more, and we lack love and appreciation in this world. That's why it's maybe so difficult to appreciate art, because we don't even appreciate ourselves, others, nature. We don't have attention, we don't have acceptance, we don't have affection. So we have to learn how to love. And here's the definition of love from a Brazilian author that I love so much. Amor é quando é concedido participar pouco mais. Poucos querem o amor verdadeiro, porque o amor é a grande desilusão de tudo o mais. E poucos suportam perder todas as outras ilusões. Love is when you are granted to participate a little more. I just love this definition. Like, you have your own eyes and you have your own ears. You give your meaning and your feelings and your conflicts. You are part of art, watching it, appreciating it. So love is when you're granted to participate a little more. I love this definition. I mean, a little more engagement, a little more there, part of the happening in this moment, so that you can go beyond your own illusions, your own resistance, even against or mostly against your own shadows, your own dark elements, your own irritation and hate. If you have one place, just tell me one place to discuss taboos in our society right now. I'll wait. So I guess we will have to do this in art then. It is the one place that we can abstract and use imagination and face conflict, face taboos. Like, art needs conflict to make we see with another eyes, to make we see taboos, to make we see the normal as strange and start changing our reality, shaping what else it could be better or just different. We have to have conflict. And I'm sure everything you're watching now or the book you're reading, what you will watch next has violence, has sex, has people screaming, maybe some sort of investigation going on, or maybe someone was poisoned, or maybe there's mental health issues or political issues. There is conflict. Conflict can be inside of us, our own morals and identity crisis or mental health issues, or it can be outside of we, like external conflict could be aliens are coming, or this president was elected, or climate change, or politics, or this person is a bitch, so I'm gonna have a conflict outside of myself in this relationship. We have conflict in our world, inside ourselves, and that's why art is going to have conflict as well. If we cannot avoid conflict in life inside ourselves, if our world in this very moment I'm recording this podcast is facing so many wars, how are we supposed to create art nowadays? What do we have to express? I wanted to end this podcast giving a short review about Kind of Kindness and Joker 2, because those were two movies that I believe they pissed a lot of people and they were difficult to digest. Let's start with Kind of Kindness. As I told, Kind of Kindness has like 3 movies inside of it, and all of them, they are very absurd. They are like shocking and weird and violent and different. There was a moment that I had to cover my eyes, and there was also funny moments. So I went out not really with the feeling that it was a heavy movie. But weeks later, this movie was still in my brain and I was still like, maybe this was a very, very heavy movie. And I'm just so numb with violence all the time that I haven't recognized directly. This is now on Disney Plus. If you haven't watched and you want to still watch it, Kind of Kindness is a very ironic title, so it teaches me one thing. If you have a story, people can endure any kind of violence. If you have, for example, the story that Arthur tells himself in Joker 2, or it can be a story that a president tells the people, or it can be a story that a whole religion and institution is telling people over and over again. It seems that humans can cope with stories and they will deal with any trauma or violence if this has a story behind, like if this has a meaning. And all the 3 movies, all of them, is like a movie inside a movie inside a movie. So you put layers of histories that you can make sense of this violence to finally be able to express a real conflict in a more imaginary way. This is the power of history. So that's a relief, actually, and we should be grateful that we have a place to do so, or we should be also careful. For me, all of the 3 histories, they were about abusive relationships. The first one, like work or even a father figure. The second one is about marriage. And the third one, religion, like in an institutional way. My favorite one was the second one. Like, she would not leave this husband, although he was pretty bad, because it is all what she knows. This monologue, this story, is stayed with me longer and is still inside of me. And she was like kidnapped and she went to an island and there was just chocolate and dogs, and the dogs were like the boss. And so she had to just eat chocolate, which is a great thing. But when this is like the only thing you eat, then you only eat chocolate. And she learned to love chocolate, for example. So there's so many allegories, there's so many metaphorical meanings. And I love when a movie or a piece of art do so, because I'm also maybe this kind of artist. I like symbols, but there was a symbol that I totally ignored, which were the dogs itself. And I was like, you know what, I ignore this, I don't care, I don't understand it, so I will give a fuck. In this story, it was clear. I saw the violence of a woman, a wife, sacrificing herself for the husband, for a man. I kind of deleted all other symbols maybe, because this was my eyes, this was my knowledge, what I already knew. And then I was reading more about the dogs, because I was like, this was too random, this was too weird, this is a symbol that I don't get it, and I honestly haven't just paid so much attention. And then I was reading something, and thank you Willie 121212. He told that the dogs were basically very important to understand the movie itself. And if you see like an abusive relationship, there is a lot of subservience, and dogs are very great in doing so, like being loyal and suffering and accepting this treatment even when the treatment is very bad. So it is putting humans in the condition of dogs and dogs in the condition of humans. He told that the film can be seen as an allegory for a bizarre preference for authoritarianism, and I agree. I was like, whoa, thank you Willie. I mean, this is exactly what I mean, to go search the stuff that you haven't understood, what you haven't saw, what your brain tried to ignore, or what it was so weird, what you haven't got it. Go search also those missing parts. This will maybe actually help to appreciate it even more. Certain things we only discover if we have this courage enough to see the shadows and see the darkness and investigate our hate or our ignorance, what is bothering me. And I thank bad art for this. To finish with Joker 2, my experience in this movie theater was like, I was sitting and another Brazilian came, and she came very late, very loud, and she was doing comments the whole movie. When they start singing, she was like, oh, Jesus Christ, like, Jesus Cristo. She was so overwhelmed, so much aversion. We bring our stuff when we go watch, appreciate art. She already had her expectations, and if there is one tip I can give you, in the moment of appreciation, forget everything that you know and don't create any expectation. Appreciation will not happen if you do so. If you bring all your feelings and meanings and aversions and preconcepts for this movie, for example, expectation is a huge enemy of art. And as I told, art needs your eyes, your ears. Be aware that you're gonna see this with your own eyes, with your own knowledge, with your own feelings, how you're feeling this day. But it gets more crazy, because what I told about social media, I guess, in the beginning of this episode, makes a lot of sense for Joker 2 very specifically, because Joker 1 was released in 2019, a little bit before then the pandemics came, and what social media is after the pandemics is very different. Maybe if we would see Joker 1 in the movie theaters today, we would have the same experience that we have with Kind of Kindness, like a lot of violence, and we would kind of ignore it and we won't digest so well, and the movie, it wouldn't be the success that it was. But the point is, the word, the reality that we had in 2019 and 2020 is very different that we have now in 2024. So the eyes of the whole culture and how we would appreciate this piece of art is another eyes. There's other conflicts going on as a whole culture. I mean, as this global culture even. I didn't like Joker so much. I left very heavy, and the movie is made in a prison. Like, there's no hope, there's no happy ending. There's a lot of sadness and mental issues going on, and there's moments where the fantasy of Arthur takes on, and we want it. We want the entertainment to happen. We want the fantasy to take over. We want, even if it seems fake and pale and wrong. And Lee representing the fans, Arlequin, the role of Lady Gaga, appreciating him for the mask that he is. If Joker 1 was putting the masks, Joker 2 is putting the mask out. And we want the mask on. We want fantasy. We want a show. And we know that it is painful for him, but we want it anyways. And we are very bad people for that. And we know it. And then we hate ourselves because we know it. And then we tell that we hate the movie. I think there's a lot to hate. There are so many problems going on in the world. There are so many problems going on in these movies. They are showing so many conflicts. Layers and layers of conflicts, of violence, of injustice, abuse relationships, mental illness. How it is possible that we do not hate this? I think it is great that we are hating these movies because it is to hate. It is to feel very bad about the stories that we have to tell in this moment that we are living in. Sometimes I think like art is disappearing, and then I try to not feel so anxious about it because I know that's not possible. And I try to remember that art itself is an expression, and the moment we express ourselves, it is a chance to better understand what is going on. So we need expression, we need conflict. Art is going to mirror these conflicts that we have in our world and within ourselves. Art also needs our eyes, our ears, our view, our meanings, and our appreciation. And there's no right or wrong in any taste of anyone, or there's no right or wrong in any decision of a director, actor, singer, writer. Like, if this is bothering you, it is touching you. And what are you gonna do about it? Gente, nem bebi meu chafezinho. Tá mó frio agora. It is so cold now. Whoa. Thank you so much for being here, listening me, trying to elaborate better. Why do we hate so much and why there is indeed so many bad art going on in the world? I guess it was not a very easy topic and probably was hard to follow, and I feel very sorry if you lost me. I did my best. I wrote a whole text here and I was reading all the time. You can also read my text in my website if you want to. And if you don't agree or if you have something to add, feel free to do so. Until now, I have had accounts for my podcasts on TikTok, Instagram, and even another YouTube channel. But this is also changing for now to make it more easy for me in my life in 2025. I'm using my personal TikTok, my personal channel here, for example, and my personal accounts like in Instagram or so. So you can also find me there. So I will be sharing and interacting with you all also in my personal accounts. And if you're just listening on Spotify, nothing changes. You can also listen there. And I am very happy that you all understood it. In the last episode, I talked already about it. So I just wanted to say also thank you for understanding it and to be here with me. I will see you then in our next talk. Until then, bye-bye.